Okay, this week we are working with ink. So I'm going to show you how to get set up and the supplies you need. So the first project we're going to do is in your sketchbook, and you're going to need an ink pen. So I actually bought this at Michael's this weekend because my pen is at school. And I bought one with like a lot of attachments. That's not required. Michael's did not have a bamboo brush. Again, that one is at school. So I'm just using a round brush. So if you can't find a bamboo brush, you can get a round brush just like this. This one is a 8. The measurement is 8, though you could go a little bigger too. Why I like the bamboo brushes a little better, because you can have a big fat area, but you can also make it like really skinny, which is harder to do with these ones. So, okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take your ink, which should be Black India ink. I like the Higgins brand. I'm not sure if they have this at Michael's, but there's Carpe Diem. They're open, and so you could buy it there too if you haven't got it yet. Okay, so you're gonna have, I have 3 jars. You could even have more jars or cups or whatever. One is gonna be just plain water, and then one is gonna be darker water, and one is gonna be lighter water. So I'm gonna pour, and then I'll also have my black ink. So I'm gonna pour this right in there and test it out. So it's pretty dark. Okay, and then this one I'm just gonna put a tad bit. Let's see. Yeah, and then so that's like a medium tone. Okay, turn page. Okay, so working in the sketchbook with ink is kind of annoying because the paper isn't really made for watercolor, but it is what it is. I don't want you guys to have to buy a whole bunch of watercolor paper. Okay, so what we're going to do first is a value chart. And you're going to start with, we're going to do first a value chart with ink. And it's going to be a wash value chart. And then we'll do a pen value chart. Okay, so you have to work super fast. So I'm going to take just the black ink, put it on there really fast, and then take the next one, put it on there, then take the next one. You're trying to blend them into each other so that there's not lines, but it's hard with, like I said. Oh, this paper's not good. Okay. So I'm blending from like black to light, and I'm trying to get it so there's not these dry edges, which can be hard to do. So you can always wait for it to dry. This is probably as good as I'm gonna get it. So you can see here, it goes from dark to light. My paper is extra absorbent. So I do still have like lines right there, which I don't really like, but that's okay. Okay, so then now I'm gonna do a pen one. So this is, you can pick any line. We did this with pencil at one point, I think. Yeah, we did. And so when you're using this pen, you want the ink, there's a hole there, and you want the ink to be filled up in that hole in the middle. There we go. And so that's what keeps it from drying out really fast. And you can do like cross hatching or scribbling or whatever. I'm gonna do scribbling because I like scribbling. So any line so the darkest one to do almost black. Like that. And the next one. So I'm just using the black. You don't need to lighten it up, though you can put this in the water ones. So my next one is going to be less so. So it's just the amount of line. The more line, the darker it is. Okay, so that is my value chart. I got a little too close, similar there. Okay, so that's the value charts. One is a wash and one is line work. I would say I would take this one out. I obviously can't do that, but I think this works better. And maybe not, we don't even need those. But just do your best here. But you want to go from dark to light with line and then dark to light with the wash. Okay. So, and then we're going to do one other thing with the wash. And then go like this. What I want you to do now is to practice not getting these lines, and it will be hard because mine dries immediately. So you're just going to wash a whole area, and you go back and forth and see how I'm going on top of the edge the next time I paint, so that when that edge dries, they blend into each other. You want to practice not getting too many lines, and this is not working very well on my paper. And the reason you want to practice this is you don't want your drawings to have like a ton of dried edges that distract you from your final. I'm going to even make it dark, lighter. It's kind of hard to go lighter. But if your page, or if you're drawing, the final drawing you'll do in ink, there's a lot of edges that dry and extra lines that weren't purposeful. It can be very distracting. I'll put some black up here. Just kind of play around. Okay, so there we go. So that is what you're gonna do, the value charts, and then just a page where you're trying to get as much ink on there, different values of ink. You can play with that however you want, but that you're trying to get rid of the edges as best you can. There might still be edges, like mine has a little bit, but you need to work fast, and it's just practicing that. All right, the next video we'll do a sphere. Okay, so the next thing, you're also going to do this in your sketchbook, but my sketchbook is now completely soaked and I have no pages left. So I have another piece of paper here. Okay, so I have the same 3 jars of water plus my black ink. I am going to now paint a wash. So the first thing I did was draw it out with pencil. You always, when you're working with ink, anything you need to draw out, you want to do with pencil because you can't erase ink. Also, it doesn't look great to have a big black line anywhere. So all your drawing should all be drawn out with pencil first, and then you come in with ink. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a wash everywhere. Stop the video, let it dry, come back and do pen on top so I can show you how those work. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the light one I have and just come in here and put, kind of plan out like where it's lighter. And then I'm going to blend it before it dries. My paper is a little heavier than sketchbook paper, so that's good for me, but because it doesn't dry as fast. Okay. So keep that middle area light. Okay, I'm going to come in with the dark, a little bit darker over here. And it will bleed sometimes, and that's okay, because ink just does what it wants to do, and if you try to fight it too much, it can be super frustrating. You can, if you want, don't ever wipe, but you can dab. So dab instead of wipe with a cloth, like just an old t-shirt or something, so I can stop the spread. You see how that worked? Okay, I'm gonna so I got that. I'll put darker in a little bit. First I'm gonna do the shadow under here. So you want to go from light to dark every time you do this. Okay, so now I'm going to add the darker in. So I'm going straight in the black, but then I'm going to kind of add a little bit of that. This is kind of the scary part. So I'm not using the black straight, but I want it to be a little darker than that. It's good to, I'm not letting it dry because I'm trying to show you as much as I can, but it is good to let things dry between layers if you have it blended the way you want it. You want to work wet when you're blending. When you're adding a new layer, it is good to let it dry so it doesn't bleed like I'm doing right there. Okay. Here I do want it to bleed a little bit because have it fade out. Shadows are blurry. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry. Oh, I'm gonna fix this spot right there. I'm gonna let this dry and we will come back with pen once this dries. Okay. All right. So we'll come back with pen. All right. Okay, I am back. Finally, it took a long time, like an hour, for this to dry all the way. So before you do this next step, you want to make sure this is dry. I'm going to erase my pencil. So at this point, you can erase the pencil. Oh, you know what I should have done is a darker background with ink. Oh well. Okay. And now I can come in with the pen. It's nice because the pencil actually erases through the ink. So you can, once it's dry, come in and erase all that pencil. Okay, so I'm going to take the ink. What's cool is I can see, this is why we take, and we want to dab, 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 when it's not right. Okay, see, I don't think that will work. Come in here. I'm gonna just kind of add some value through here. I'm using the lighter ink mixed with water, or it's like a little bit, it's darker than this one, but much lighter than the black. Okay, so make a mistake and dab it, then you can take clear water and also dab. I don't expect your guys' drawings to be perfect. There's one of the things that's actually nice about ink is that it is imperfect. You want to pull your ink. I keep making these drops. I think it's because I had too much ink on my pen. I didn't have anywhere to go. I'm going to take a brush here. Try to fix those. So there's usually a way to fix your mistake. Not always, but usually. Or at least attempt to fix it. Okay. It's not working. Okay, let's try down here. The ink does work better than the black. It's just pretty dark. You can see here how my ink is didn't dry there because I just fixed that, so it's kind of blending. So it's a good example of how if you don't let it dry, the ink. I'm doing cross hatching because I have more control. Oh, I think scribble would have been a better choice. I just forget how unwieldy the pen is. You can combine scribble with cross hatching, which I'm doing because But though I thought, oh, I'll have more control, cross hatching is not really working. Oh, I'm getting closer here. Okay. I think I'm done with the pen part. I'm gonna make the shadow a little blacker, and I'm just gonna use a brush for that. And I'm gonna do a little bit in the background. Okay, and then I'm gonna make back. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of all my eraser marks. Now I'm gonna paint the background a little bit so the ball really sticks out. That will all be done. The cool thing about pen, if anyone actually wants to do it opposite, they can, because you can do pen first and then wash over the top. It's kind of, sometimes it can be hard to do that, but you can wait for the pen to dry and then add another layer of wash. To emphasize what you're doing. I really want to get that bright spot, like looking white. Okay. All right. I'd have to get fresh water to make the water whiter. Bad idea. See, that's why I said don't wipe. I told you not to wipe, and then I wiped, and it smeared. So I gotta blah. Okay, so that's that. I'll take a photo too. All right. So that's pen and ink. When you do your final project, you can choose to only do wash or only do pen, or to do them both. For this one, I want you to do it both, just so you have an idea of what that feels like. I personally find it a little bit clumsy, but that's okay. I prefer to just do wash, but that's because I'm a painter and I like to paint, and I find the pen a little bit frustrating. But some people are going to love the pen, and some people are going to hate the pen. Some people are going to love the wash, hate the wash, and you might love both or hate both. Just depends on your personality. All right, see you later, guys.